Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another natex video. Today, we are going to be ranking, not really ranking, but going over every single mega in natex, because I've been really interested in running a lot of these less viable ones the last couple of weeks, and I thought it'd be fun to cover all of them. So I'm joined this time by Shister and Penter, um, and yeah, we kind of ordered them in general order of viability, like the lower it gets down on the list, like the less accurate it gets, but we'll be covering like the better stuff first. So
It'll go by quicker and it's more digestible.
yep, exactly. And yeah, sorry for only Natdex videos recently, but I think this metagame is just based and everything else is cringe. Trust. Um, but
Everyone
I
loves
will be
megas. It's
making more SV
fun.
videos soon.
He can't
TM.
be leaking his SV tech right now.
Yeah, for real. I have the heat. Let's see. Okay. So first off, we're gonna start with like two banned Pokemon because they're on here because we thought it'd be funny. But these are the only two non-legendary megas that are banned. And so Gengar, bit of a history lesson. This Pokemon um, was legal for approximately 1 day in Natdex. And it was quite frankly absurd. So actually let me
There's
double
a
check how
certain
long it was legal.
I'm pretty sure it was like a little bit more than a day, but I'm counting like way back.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like a couple weeks, I think. Let's see.
there's a very specific
I mean, I guess
move in Gengar's move pool
it
that
probably
got it
was like the
turbo banned.
first, one of the first things banned whenever it became like
It was
there
banned.
was like
Okay,
an
yeah,
actual
Oh,
council
it was banned
stuff.
within 3 days.
it was banned within 1 day of there being a council.
Well,
Okay, so yeah, this thing was really stupid in early games because it had Encore. Um, Mega Gengar was always like one of the best megas, like in the older DOU gens, and it never even had Encore. And it actually got banned in Gen 7 without Encore. But Encore on a Shadow Tag Pokemon with like 600 BST just was just too much. You could do a lot of stupid
Have
stuff,
fun.
and
Have fun
like
never clicking protect ever again.
yeah, it was just really stupid. Um, I think if I like went back and tried to find a set, I probably could. Let's see.
it's like
Um,
something that no one wants to play against. You play against once, and it's like never again. I hate this.
Encore disable on a shadow tag Pokemon.
okay, yeah, Gengar's
What?
gotta go. Lol. Let's see. I'm going back to in time. But yeah, it was basically just
Very.
Encore. Um, and there was like basically very minimal counterplay to it due to
Never mind the absurd stat line.
yeah. Anyways, okay. So it's just pick your poison, right? You could do a lot of things with this. This Pokemon is like able to be deceptively bulky because you don't really need to invest in its special attack to really do damage, and it was just faster and everything. So yeah, Encore bot, probably something like that, um, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so now this one had got a little bit more optimized because it was around for longer. This Pokemon was legal for the better part of a year. It was legal, I think, like 10 months. And this Pokemon was basically fine for a very long time. However, Natex is really
It
funny because you
gained.
get new move combinations that you never had before. And when the second DLC dropped, they gave Metagross Heavy Slam. So we had 120 base power Heavy Slam boosted by Tough Claws with Stopping Tantrum and Ice Punch for coverage. And yeah, it was
On
absurd.
a Pokemon that
You could also
weighs like
run
2,000 pounds.
Yeah, this is like one of the heaviest Pokemon in the game. The only thing that Heavy Slam did not hit for like 120 base power was like Zygarde, which it hit for like 100. And then like
cure him.
Yeah, Kyurem, and then
Stack.
Celesteela, yeah. So it was just like the only things that weren't getting hit by it were like either weak to
Weak to Ice
steel
Sponge.
anyway, or weak to stopping tantrum, and you wouldn't be clicking heavy slam anyway. So yeah, this Pokemon was really stupid. There was a lot of dumb calcs, and eventually it got banned. All right, so these are the two banned ones, and so now we're gonna get into like the Pokemon that are actually in the tier. So Salamence is probably it's either like the best or the second best Mega, depending on like how you think of the tier. Um, Kangaskhan's really good as well, but this Pokemon is very flexible, right? It's usually used with Tailwind, Hyper Voice, not Hyper Drill, Hyper Voice, Return, Protect, or you can also drop Hyper Voice for Breaking Swipe. And so that's one
Or you
set.
can run Double Edge over Return.
Yeah. And
I
if you look
think
at this thing's stat and ability, it's really not hard to see why this Pokemon is good.
That's literally just make up an EV spread that has max speed. Click Return, Double Edge, Breaking Swipe, Hyper Voice. You can go Draco Meteor if you want. Or if you don't want to click Tailwind, you can make it a win con with Dragon Dance.
Yeah, and so the other set that I think is really strong right now is this. And with this set, you can afford to be a little bit bulkier because you're boosting your speed um, on your own. And this hits really hard. I had a game the other day where like I like I O-code a Mega Diancie with like +1 return. I think it was like really funny. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, okay. Now Kangaskhan. Sister, you want to talk about this one?
Kangaskhan clicks the funny Seismic Toss move that does half of your Pokemon's HP and has no switch-ins.
Yep.
The
And
same
sometimes
thing
more
it's
than half.
done for
And
over
also
10
fake out.
years.
that's all it needs. You could run Shadow Claws, Sucker Punch, Protects, like
Yeah,
two
Shadow
of
Claw
those.
or Sucker Punch. And then the other set, which is a
Most of
little
the
bit less
time,
common.
Power Up Punch Return.
Yeah.
That's
And then
usable.
move to
I feel
hit
like
most
the
types.
Seismic Toss is like actually busted.
Yeah, it is. It
Seismic
absolutely
Toss
is.
Kang is one of the best filler mons in the format. You literally just
I
stick
would
it on a team
say
and
it
you
is
say,
the
"Oh look,
best by
I
far.
I I want a Mega and my team needs Fake Out. Here, let's put this stupid thing on it because it's always going to do something."
Yeah, I agree. It's probably like
There's no like bulk that you can put to like not lose to it, basically. Like it just is
it
so
can like
consistent.
completely win against like teams if they don't have like enough like HP to really stand up to it. Um, but yeah, you can also run Power Up Punch, but I do agree Seismic Toss is the more widely applicable set. Um, yeah, very good Pokemon. As far as EVs go, you can do various things. I like to run it bulky, although some people like to run it with like a lot of speed, which you can definitely do because it is like decently fast. So you could do something like this, um, or you could
Pretty
do
much
something
always
like,
put max
I
HP on
think
it.
or just like
running
here.
the like outspeed adamant Zygarde like 291 or something like that is
Wait, that's actually yeah, that's cooking. Yeah, let's see.
unless you're running like Trick Room, then you just go all in bulk.
Yeah, yeah. But it has like more bulk than Mew, and Mew is a very bulky Pokemon, and it has one weakness. And Fighting type is not exactly the most like common offensive type. So this Pokemon is very very good. Um, all right. So the next Pokemon we have here, the next three I'd say are like all really close in viability. But we've seen a lot of this
Oh,
Pokemon recently. Um,
my
this
favorite
Pokemon
guy.
really has two different sets. Um, well, it has several actually, but I think the most common in this format is probably Dragon Dance, Rock Slide, or Stone Edge. Not Rock Blast, Rock Slide, or Stone Edge. Um, but the important thing is knockoff. Now, this Pokemon got knockoff back with DLC 1, and this made this Pokemon like very, very good. Like knockoff on Mega Tyranitar is obviously absurdly good. Especially when you're like already boosting your attack. You're making progress all the time. Um, Anything else to add here on the Dragon Dance set?
Easily one of the best clickers in the tier. It doesn't even need to be at +1. Like Stone Edge and Knockoff do so much damage off of this thing's massive attack stat that you don't even need to be boosted. You can sit in front of Incineroar, have it intimidate you, have it parting shot you, and you will still do damage with this guy. That's the crazy thing about the Dragon Dance set, I feel, is that you don't even really use it for the attack boost. You use it so that you can become faster than everything else. And the attack boost is just a little bit of consistency on top.
Yeah, I agree. This thing is just incredible stats. This is possibly the most absurd stat distribution in the entire format. Like, look at this. It just you do not get anything better than this, really. Um, and yeah, obviously, Sand's very helpful for it as well. We've also like at times in the past we've seen like Stealth Rock, which is decent, right? Because rocks are usually pretty decent in DOU formats. Especially when you've got like strong, viable flying types, Mega Meds, Torn, other stuff like
It can
POW.
definitely.
I like running a lot of bulk on it sometimes, just because you can basically live any hit in the tier if you want.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
absurdly bulky.
This Pokemon can reliably live Sacred Sword from Chien-Pao. A 4-time super effective move from a Pokemon with 120 attack stat that lowers your defense is very reasonably able to live that with like I think it's 252 and then 36 defense EVs.
Oh my god. And yeah, even the Spadef is like absurd. And it's also faster than regular Tyranitar as well. So makes Dragon Dance stronger. There's also you can also run like a third attack. There's various options here. You can run like Ice Punch to hit some of the stuff. Um,
If you want to be really funny, you can run like Foul Play on it and boost your defense stat or whatever. You can click Toxic and Thunder Wave if you want to run full bulk and stall stuff. It's just an absurd move pool.
yeah, it looks pretty much anything. Body Press could actually
I
be really
even
funny.
Oh yeah, it definitely could be. I've even seen I think Hone Claws is on this move pool. I think I've seen that on this Pokemon once or twice to click Stone Edge more reliably.
That
Yeah,
should be funny on
That's
like
it's there.
funny.
TR. But I think Dragon Dance is just better most of the time. But yeah, also it's like Taunt. So you can do a lot of different things with this. But I think the most consistent sets are Rocks and Dragon Dance with a very deep move pool. All right, Charizard.
Best Sun counter on the format.
Oh yeah.
And now we have the Sunsetter.
So when you're not playing against Mega Tyranitar or other weather, this Pokemon is very, very good. If we just take a look at its stats, it hits really hard. It sets the route for itself. And really, like, for a Pokemon that's, like, kind of thrill, it's really not, because, to be honest, the bulk is decent, especially the special bulk. Um, so this thing has a few options, right? Um, Learns Tailwind. Tailwind, obviously, one of the best moves in the game. You're always almost, like, running Heat Wave. You can run Solar Beam. I've seen Scorching Sands. I've run Scorching Sands before to hit the odd stack attacker or whatever. Um, as well
Definitely
as
seen
like
Scorching Sand.
opposing fires. Um,
Solar Beam is an option.
yeah, Solar Beam, Weather Ball for the funny. Um, it's run Overheat in like past formats, um, so you could definitely do that as well. Also has stuff like
I've even seen
Sub is
Flying
effective
Stab
on
on
it.
it.
What's that?
I've even seen it run Flying Stab before.
Yeah, I can do that as
It's
well.
just like huge damage button. This guy's pretty one dimensional in that regard though, because its main thing is setting Sun and doing damage, and then enabling some other Sun attacker.
Yeah, I think with Charizard, what I like to do is pair it with like Sash, like Flutter, so I get like the speed boost with the Flutter. Then I can run Icy Wind. And so then, like, the Icy Wind support from the Flutter is going to let the Charizard, like, outspeed things and just click Heat Wave over and over because it's just that good. But yeah, it is pretty, like, one-dimensional, I think. I think you always kind of want Tailwind in this format. And then, like, Flying Stab doesn't really complement, like, things as much. You're mostly just clicking fire moves and a way to break, like, either opposing fires or opposing waters that are going to resist. You could probably sneak like some funny stuff on here, like Wisp or whatever, but I don't
Wisp.
think that's really what you want to be doing all the
If
time.
anyone finds a way to make beat up Charizard Y work, I'll give you my full and honest respect.
Now, Run to Fog, Hazard Control, Trust. um, but yeah, that's
Some funny
mostly it.
stuff in this
I've
pool.
I've run into that on ladder
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
when I was running hazard stuff.
Mystical Fire is just hilarious.
Oh my, that mystical
That's
fire
so
is not a move.
toxic. It is so toxic to think about. It is so unnecessary on this Pokemon.
But yeah, that's mostly it with this guy. Okay, Gardevoir. So I think there's like two things you could do with this. I think the most common thing is to like run it with like Trick Room, Hyper Voice. You can run an Expanding Force if you're running it on uh like a Side Spam team, and then it's really strong because you get like the Hyper Voice to combo with like obviously a very broken move and Expanding Force, um, and then like just Protect last. I've also run not Photo Chiller, but I've also run like Psyshock here when it's not on like terrain. I think this Pokemon is much more than like a Side Spam clicker, to be honest, because this special attack stat combined with like a Pixelate like boosted Hyper Voice just hits really hard. And I think it's more compelling to use it for the Fairy Stab than for the Psychic Stab most of the time. Although you can obviously do that too. I've also run like Calm Mind on it. This is a decent set. You just have to make sure like you living some physical attacks because it doesn't get any like physical defense when you Mega Evolve. It keeps it. So it pairs really well with like Intimidate with this Calm Mind set, and then it becomes like really difficult to deal with. If it just gets like one boost, it's already like hitting things really hard with Hyper Voice. Anything to add
This
here?
mon is it
I
has
think
such an incredibly deep move pool, but its special attack stat is so high that I honestly can't reasonably justify doing anything with it but clicking Hyper Voice. Like there
Yeah,
are some absurd moves in this move pool.
Wisp.
It has Wisp, Toxic, and Thunderwave.
It's
Steel
like
Pulse.
I think it's probably the best or second best like size spam mon, but it's still probably like as strong outside of it too, like you said.
Yeah. It also has
100%.
like Encore. Great move pool.
Encore Disable.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. But
Destiny
yeah,
Bond, lol.
you're mostly just running this either Calm Mind, Trick Room, and then Hyper Voice, and then Psychic move. Um, yeah, and you kind of just real magical this one kind of happens with the EVs. I think you can get really creative with this. You can either run like fast offensive, or you can run like slower with Trick Room, or you can run like in the middle. Um, very flexible with the EVs. Um, let's see. Do I have
I
any
think
like
the
spreads?
only coverage move that I would ever consider running on it would be Mystical Fire for steals, since that's like the one thing that walls you with your 2 stabs.
Yeah. Yeah. See here, I just like I hit a jump point in special attack. Came out to 247, which outspeeds like stuff like Scarf Chiyu, Undertale, and as well as like more niche stuff like Crown, Undertale, and um, yeah, and then just like dump in like HP and defense. But you can definitely run more offensive stuff as well. Okay, back to here. Okay,
So that's our first row of megas, and now we get into the megas that are kind of in the background of Nat decks, just kind of vibing.
yeah. Okay, so the first one here is Scizor. This is a Pokemon that hits a couple of like really big meta targets for like very positive matchups. Right, it hits Flutter and it hits Rilla. It's very excellent at
The 2
handling
for
Rilla
ones.
because Rilla can't do anything to it. Um, well, this guy, you're pretty much clicking Swords Dance Bullet Punch, and then either Superpower or Bug Bite as your other option. Superpower is pretty nice because you get to hit stuff like Instant. The Bug Bite is boosted by Technician and hits really hard as well.
Isn't it usually close combat over superpower?
Well, I forget it gets close combat. Yeah, don't run superpower. My bad. But it gets CC now, so run that. Other things with this, you could probably run like Tailwind as well. I've seen Tailwind U-turn, Bullet Punch, and then
Yeah.
like CC or something. Um,
It also gets
There's
knock, doesn't it?
yeah, I guess
there's
not.
an SVUU set that runs Tailwind U-turn and super bulky on it that kind of looks like it would be interesting here, but I don't know if it's entirely applicable. There is a decent amount of utility in this move pool, even some weird stuff like Feint.
Technician Feint, Heat. But yeah, you're basically using this to like prey upon a couple of like top meta threats, and then if you like get a couple of Swords Dance boosts, then like resistances start to like not matter anymore, which is kind of nice because Technician Bullet Punch just hits things like really really hard. Yeah,
Omega that didn't have to change the ability, just give it a stat buff.
yeah, yeah. And it's also like incredibly physically tanky. You can switch it on things. You can also like run like Roost on it as well. I don't think that's like that's common or as solid, but you can definitely do that too. Um, but yeah, I'd say it's Swords Dance is the more common set, and then you can also run Tailwind if your team like really needs like a Tailwind setter that like has a unique defensive profile. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say
I
overall
don't know.
that
Tailwind
Scizor is
seems
like
kind of rough.
yeah. Scissor's kind of like hanging around like the bottom of tier 3, maybe top of tier 4-ish in natex, where it can do what it does and it has a good number of targets, but there's also a lot of things in the metagame like Volcanion that just completely invalidate it. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
Volcanion
matchup,
is so bad. And then
but it's
if you into Sun,
not
it's
a bad
really rough as well.
you
But
into
everything
Sun.
else
Hope
is fine.
punch the flutter. That's all you're doing in that matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Blastoise. Now here's an interesting one where we haven't really seen much of it. We did
Shout out
see
to Nidorus.
a very interesting set brought by Nito. I think it was like Shell Smash with Terrain Pulse, and then like what was the last move?
If memory serves, it was a water stab. It might have been spout.
Didn't
It
did it
might
have
have been
water spout?
something
I
else.
think you
Yeah,
might
Water
have
Spout. Yeah.
run both.
And then you basically just like use the
Ran it with
stats that it
Rilla.
has. Um, and then like Terrain Pulse with like Rillaboom to hit like opposing bulky waters like Feeny. Boosted by Mega Launcher. So this Pokemon has like really immense damage output. Um, and it's a nice like there's not like too many water types, so it's kind of nice for that. You could also do something like with Fake Out. Regular Blastoise is probably like better at doing stuff like this, but it does have a pretty deep move pool. But I'd say like you probably want to use Cell Smash, probably with like Water Spout, if you're really using this guy. Um, but you know, I haven't seen too much of this, but it has a pretty deep move pool. Like you can run lots of different things that are boosted by like Mega Launcher. Um,
Or
obviously has
Fear,
like Ice
Dark
Beam,
Pulse,
has Flip
Dragon
Turn for
Pulse.
pivoting.
Ooh.
Any thoughts here?
There's a lot of potential here for this guy just off of the base typing, and the stats themselves are incredibly optimized for what this Pokemon's original stuff was. Like, it gained 50 special attack and good defensive boosts off of the back of this Megastone. Like, it put in some good work here. And Blastoise is just a really solid Pokemon in terms of move pool. I have seen a surprising amount of people run Fake Out, Follow Me, Flip Turn, plus one of the pulse moves on this guy. In that regard, it can kind of function like Ogerpon, where, okay, I'm clicking Follow Me with something that does like a lot of damage. And that's kind of cool,
Yeah. My
because
only question with
using
like a
your
set like
Megastone
that,
as a support,
if it's really like it's really worth using your Mega Stone. Um, but overall, a
it's
pretty
definitely
decent
something
Pokemon.
it's capable of doing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely think Shell Smash is probably the way to explore this Pokemon further. So because that's like the only set we've like actually seen in like a tour game. And Terrain Pulse is actually like a really nice buff for it in terms of like being able to like pair with like Rilla.
Huge damage.
Rain Pulse is so
Rain-
funny. Like
That-
it's super
Terrain-
strong.
Terrain Pulse plus Rillaboom is one of those mega interactions that was just entirely only a natex. Like, Rillaboom didn't exist in Gen 7. And oh boy, does Shell Smash Mega Blastoise enjoy having the Terrain plus Fake Out support.
Yeah. And Terrain Pulse is a Gen 8 move too. Okay. Venusaur. So this Pokemon
Funny.
kind of does like one thing, and it's done that thing in like other formats as well. It clicks Leech Seed, it clicks Synthesis. In this format, it gets to click Earth Power because Venusaur gained Earth Power in Gen 8, and it gets to click Sludge Bomb, and that will hit like a couple things. This Pokemon can wall vast portions of the metagame, right? The thing is, it's not really doing that much damage, but it's very bulky. And Thick like basically eliminates two of your weaknesses. And so you can trade like very favorably in endgame. So you want to position this guy to like positions where the opponent can't like damage it faster than like the recovery is going to hit it. And then obviously like in the early to mid game, like stuff like Earth Power and Sludge Bomb, you're using that. If you're like decent like special attack stat to like just get some chip on things, like you can click Earth Power on and do like a decent amount of damage to it. Sludge Bomb for like stuff like Rilla. And I think this Pokemon's like pretty interesting. It's definitely not at the highest like level of like viability, but it's absolutely like something you can run, just because of the great like defensive profile. I have a set for this.
You have a search bar, sir.
It's like so hard to remove that. Like if you get like the right matchup, even like you can even do stuff into Sun and
Yeah,
like
I have a good replay for this. Let
other
me fetch it.
awkward matchups.
Would be very interested to see if there's anything else to be done with the Venusaur. If it's gained any like special moves in Gen 8 or 9. Because Lord knows the starter ones keep gaining moves every generation.
Yeah.
So there might be interesting things there, but definitely one of the all-timers of this is what it does, and it can do this in every generation that it's in, and it's annoying as shit.
Yeah, see, like, this is a good example of the Mon. I brought this in seasonal. And what we're gonna see here is this Pokemon is just gonna like exert like a small amount of pressure like throughout the game, just with like stuff like Earth Power, and Sludge Bomb to hit the Feeny. So you're not doing like a whole lot of damage there, but like it's gonna add up over time, and it's very difficult to remove this Mon. To the point that it's just gonna like kind of sit on the field. I have to like play pretty carefully around like Shadow Tag stuff, but Leech Seed is able to like prevent this Zygarde from really like taking over the game. And I just get to click stuff like U-turn to pivot out my Zygarde, and over time just wear it down. And the Venusaur just gets to click Leech Seed, Synthesis, Earth Power, Sludge Bomb to hit the Feeny here. And by the end of the game, it's still on the field at 86%. Well, not on the field, but very difficult to remove. All right, moving on. All right, so here's another one we have an excellent replay for. This Pokemon is really fun. The set I would
Up
use
to the
on it
set, bro.
personally, that I have used on it, is this. Flurblitz, Will-O-Wisp, Roost, Protect. Now this is a very excellent Pokemon at doing a couple of things. I'm going to go find the exact EV spread I have for this Pokemon. Am I blind?
I'll take this moment to say that this Zard set is very similar in function to what Megaments is, with the very powerful stab move boosted off the ability and lowering physical attack. But the key difference here is the typing is better defensively for Zard X, so it's more able to click Roost and outlast things as opposed to just botting Talon.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this is the spread I have. Okay, so this is a really interesting set. I believe I calced this to live like a Life Orb CC from Marshadow, and then live another one after you get Wisp off, and then you can just like click Roost. And this is a really excellent mod at like weakening physical attackers, so you can use stuff like Combine Feeny, as long as you play around terrain. And this pairs really excellently with Rilla because you get the passive healing, and Rilla can turn off like Misty Terrain, so you can click Wisp more. And you have really excellent stats, right? This is kind of doing like what Gouging Fire does, except Gouging Fire doesn't learn Wisp. So, while you have like a lot of the same like benefits of like the Fire Dragon type plus like excellent bulky stats. You're not quite as bulky, but you have Wisp and you have better recovery with Roost. And then Flare Blitz, even with this little bit of investment, is going to pick up huge amounts of like damage on Mons. Like you can Oko Flutter with this. You can Oko Mega Gardevoir with this. You can Oko like Rillaboom with this. And even like resisted Mons are going to take like large amounts of damage. And so when you get into stuff like how offense teams like you see here, it can really just take over a game. So
I'd wager you could cleanly KO any Jirachi set with that Flare Blitz.
Oh yeah, almost certainly, yeah. If it's like a super effective attack, the mod is not living. So for a good example of how much damage this thing does with no investment,
Goodbye.
yeah.
You're dead.
And then later on in this game, this Pokemon is gonna like. Well, actually, you know what? We'll just watch it. Here we can see like the value of like playing with like Roost, right? And then as long as I keep it safe from here, I know I can pretty much just guaranteed win this game. And so yeah, Charizard's going to come back in. It's going to be able to handle both this Gambit and this POW just by clicking like Wisp with like terrain control. And it's just going to be able to roost off all the damage. So this Pokemon, very excellent at walling some teams, excellent defensive profile. And it really has like longevity in a way that a lot of other megas don't. Okay, moving on. Swampert.
Rain Man with a rain plan.
Penter,
Make
you've
me
used a lot of rain.
sad
Have you
because
messed around
rain
with
is
this Pokemon?
bad.
I have. I do think that I would rather run Omastar, but like, if I'm not running Psyrain, like it kind of just does. Like it uses its water stab. It uses water ground. You can set rocks with it. I don't love not having being able to Terra, like, so it's really easy for Rilla to just come in and glide.
Yeah.
Or Woodhammer. But if you have like a switch in like a Caledon,
yeah, that's true. It does pair like
you can get around that
defensively with our Caledon. Obviously, the 4 times weakness to ground is kind of bad. But if I were going to run this, I'd run stuff like Flip Turn, Earthquake probably, or High Horsepower. And then probably like Ice Punch or Waterfall.
I would say that Mega Swampert is like, it has some of the most potential out of any of the Megas and is just really, really hindered by Rillaboom being God tier in natex, like being 50% use rate mon. Because if you actually look at this mon's move pool gains, it gained high horsepower and it gained flip turn in Gen 9, which are two incredible tools that it doesn't have access to in previous gens. So it can now pivot at Mach 10. It has a single target ground move that isn't mitigated by terrain, and it still has 150 base stat attack in the rain with Swift Swim. Like this stat line is absolutely absurd.
It has an issue with like a lot of realist teams. Well, I mean, this is a lot of teams in general have Intimidate, and like it can't do like you can Ice Punch Mince, but like usually Mince is gonna have some form of redirection. It just a lot of teams you end up. It feels like it should be able to do more, but the way the game, I don't know. I feel like it struggles.
This mon is very honest, and most of the physical attackers in that decks are not honest. They run Clear Amulet and say, fuck you, Intimidate, and they run Terra and say, I don't care what my weakness is. And Swampert Mega, unfortunately, cannot do that.
Yeah.
Still has a fantastic set of stats, though.
But having flip turn, yeah, does help that at least. It's just like
I definitely wouldn't really look at this mon in the same vein as like Charizard X or Venusaur if it didn't have flip turn to help mitigate the I keep getting intimidated problem.
Yeah.
you just,
Yeah.
just run it like Intimidate plus Water Absorb. Like you can hit Volcanion, but you can't really. Does it get anything to hit Wellspring?
No, not really.
I feel like I've thought about it and like the fact that I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, you could probably just run something like this. You can run Ice Punch to hit like Meds or like Zygarde, but yeah, I do think this is like you have to have a really good reason to run this Pokemon on a rain team. But it is
The
probably your rain
strongest
mega of
move it
choice.
has, the strongest move that Swampert has that can hit Ogerpon is Poison Jab.
You know what? That could be worse. Okay, moving on. Mega Diancie. So this Pokemon is certainly something.
Oh,
It suffers from the
It's so
fact it
fun to
has like
run.
basically zero bulk because you can't run like HP investment, or you usually don't. But it is very fast and it has the best move in the game, or one of the best moves in the game in Diamond Storm. And it has strong Moonblast. You can run stuff like Substitute or like Hidden Power Fire, or Earth Power most likely.
Earth
Stuff like
Power.
this. You could choose which way to invest your like EVs, or your nature. You probably run like minus defense because you can boost it with Diamond Storm anyway. Um, you've used this a lot, Penter. What are your thoughts on this guy?
I actually have run bulk on this. Sometimes I'll also like if I'm doing minus defense, I'll run enough just to like offset the minus nature.
Mhm.
I haven't run this in a while, so it may not be as good, but I did really used to like substitute. Because I could like you could like set up the sub whenever you have clear body, and then like mega evolve afterwards. So it's like you don't get intimidated, which is like something that is really annoying for Mega Diancie. But the ability to like choose when you mega and like I think it's one of the few mon that like you don't want to just click it all the time. Like sometimes you do want to mega immediately and get magic bounce because it's like really strong, but other times you want to like make use of the bulk that it has. At least that's my take.
Yeah,
I'll say this about Mega Diancie, and I find this that there's one thing in this move pool that it has a natex that it doesn't have in Gen 6 or 7 that looks mildly interesting to me, and that's Encore. For a mon that can get a 2 times special defense boost with its main stab and has a decent speed tier, I think maybe you could pull some shenanigans with that.
Yeah, that actually
But I
sounds
don't
really
know.
interesting.
It's
as a third move.
actually, yeah.
This is one of the fastest
It's just
encores
one
in
of
the
those.
tier.
Yeah, it's just one of those little things that I notice in move pool changes throughout the gens. It's like, I might keep this for later.
It's funny. I've run a core on like base Diancie and SV, so I don't know why I like hadn't thought of running it on Mega.
Maybe something to look at for the future. But for now, a proven Diamond Storm clicker with really absurd min maxing out of the Megastone.
Yeah.
Brock is such a good offensive type too.
Another sufferer of is weak to Rillaboom as a Megastone.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not as bad though as
All right,
Swampert.
Latias. So
We might as well put these two together.
yeah, Latios, very similar. You're usually going to run Latias, but the primary use for this is on EV Pass teams, which is pretty funny. But we see this a lot, and it's basically, or not a lot, but if you're running EV, you're running Latias basically, and you're running Roost, Stored Power, Protect, and Aura Sphere, with some
Roost or Recover.
with not Roost, Recover. Uh,
Yeah.
And let me find the EV spread for this that I used. Let's see.
He's leaking the EV team. The tech.
Yeah, we need to ban EV we need to ban the EVZ move, but basically what this does is just
Easily the most dishonest use of a Megastone in the entire format. It's
yeah.
not even close.
It got Aura Sphere in Gen 8. And stored power, it's everything really hard. It has excellent stats, right? And this Pokemon can also run like Calm Mind with like Mist Ball, et cetera, et cetera. And it was never like bad at doing that, or it was never like too terrible at doing that. Even in like past gens, you saw it once in a while. It's not like common or like even like really like good per se, but you can definitely do it. But with like the EV Pass stuff, you can like give it an immediate power boost, and that makes the Mon with these stats like incredibly good. With Aura Sphere as well to hit like the dark types. And Latios could probably do similar stuff. It's a little bit less bulky, but like if you're like
Definitely, Latios can definitely be used as a breaker with that special attack set and the buffed Luster Purge at courtesy of Gen 9.
Yeah, the
Like, it
buff
could
purge is like
this
really big.
flip
you could
turn.
probably do this, to be honest.
Gain flip turn in Gen 9. We'll use that to pivot out of Draco drops too.
Oh yeah, that could
Flip
be nice.
turn.
Yeah, flip turn. But yeah, you can use buffed Luster Purge with this. I don't think I would run setup on this, and I think if you're running the EV stuff, you should probably use Latias, but you could use this too as well. It has like the similar move pool. If there's like an Aura Sphere calc that you can hit with like Latios as opposed to Latias, you could probably run Latios for that reason. But if not, you could use it as a
Good
breaker
minds.
in this way as well. Decent Pokemon.
Unfortunately, these two have always been in like the DUU power level for megas in like both gens that they're around. Like they're just barely under the cut, but definitely not unusable.
Yeah. They're like almost there. Okay.
Great defensive typing with the ability though.
Oh yeah. Levitate is really useful. I think if like there wasn't Zygarde around, like Levitate would be more like useful, but I don't know. These things can also like, especially like if you run like offensive, you could probably deal with Zygarde right now. Like even Latios, the non-bulky one, is pretty decent bulk. Anyways, okay. So now we have like one of the most interesting
The
Trick Room
goat.
mons. This is like maybe the last. This is I honestly consider this better than like a lot of the ones we had before it. It's better than Swampert. It's better than Diancie. It's better than the Latias, I think, in terms of like applicability. I think because if you're running like full room, you should probably be running this Pokemon. And what it does is basically Heat Wave, Earth Power, Nature Power, and then Protect. So
It kills people. It just kills people.
yeah, this is sheer force off of one of the most absurd special attack stats in the game. And it also learns Eruption, but you don't even need to run Eruption because Heat Wave is just that strong with sheer force. And then Earth Power obviously hits like a lot of things. Ground is an excellent offensive typing. Then Nature Power, you can run it with either like either Rillaboom or Feeny, and it's going to turn into another move that is boosted by sheer force because Moonblast has a chance for special attack drop and Energy Ball has a chance for a Spadef drop. Especially with Rillaboom, right? Nature Power gives you a way to break Feeny and really just damage like a lot of Pokemon that feel like they should be safe, but they're just not because bunny. So yeah, that's kind of like what you use this mod for. Pairs excellently with some of the Trick Room setters. I'm a fan. Any thoughts here?
Very well defined Pokemon. I don't think there's any like room to too much experiment with the set here unless you go something insane like Purse.
Oh my
I
god,
guess
yeah.
there's a
First
couple
body
of
press.
other moves in this move pool like Flash Cannon could maybe be useful for hitting fairies.
You know, you could probably
Uh
like if you can break Flutter with that, it might be worth. Let's see.
oh, you could definitely like Flutter with that. Sheer Force boosted. There's no way Flutter can take that.
I'm just gonna calc it just because I'm curious. Let's see. I didn't even
This is
know
how
it learned
Heat is
Flash
made.
Cannon. Lol.
I don't remember when it got Flash Cannon. Is
Okay,
that
so
max
here's
special?
a really good example of why Flutter Mane is broken.
Oh my god. What the hell? That's
But
just
yeah,
not right.
it's fine because Flutter's not really gonna deal with you anyways, and you're already to a KO'd it with Heat Wave most of the time, I think. Um, okay, Manectric. Now, I've tried this several different ways over the course of Natdex's lifespan. Um, it's a pretty decent like utility mon. It can use like Volt Switch. It's the only Mega Mon that keeps Intimidate. You can use like Volt Switch, Snarl, Overheat to hit like grasses and protect. And this is probably the better set. Um, but I've also run like Rising Voltage in this slot as well, and this is like then it can deal like really large amounts of damage. It's also very fast, but the trouble with this Pokemon is it's not as fast as like it used to be compared to like everything else. Like 135 used to be just
Not as
like
fast as Zeraora.
ahead of everything, but Zero Aura is faster. POW and Flutter are the same speed tier, etc., etc. But it's still pretty decent at like spreading Intimidate or Snarl drops. But I think generally it's not really worth your Megastone. But like you can definitely use it. I think.
A good, honest Pokemon that has always been right at like the bottom of usability as a Mega, and then Zeraora came around and kind of stole its entire thunder as an electric type Snarl user with insane speed.
Yeah,
And now the speed tier is heavily contested, as you already mentioned. I really like Mega Manectric though. He's a really cool guy.
agree. All right, Medicham. Now this Pokemon, pure power, very strong. Fake out CCs and headbutt,
We
protect probably. Can also run like feint. Can run bullet punch as well to hit Flutter. It doesn't Oko Flutter, but with like POW on the field, you might get close. Um, Now, this Pokemon's main niche, I think, comes from one damage calc. Let's calculate really quickly. Using CC, it picks up very large amounts of damage. Like, Adamant CC is a roll in your favor to KO Rillaboom. And then if you run, like, Jolly, and you have, like, POW on the field, then it just always OHKOs as well. So I think it pairs pretty well with POW because nothing really lives. And Fake Out support is
You
kind of
get
nice.
glided for like a lot though.
Ignore
Look
Glide.
at the
Just
glide.
ignore this number. Ignore this. But I think if you're running Adamant, you can also run, like, bulkier, right? Because you don't need the speed, really. And so here it looks a lot more reasonable. Because investing in this HP stat gets you, like, a lot more value than, like, investing in the other stats because it's, like, pretty low. But it does very large amounts of damage. And that's kind of it. Any thoughts here?
I think Medicham's biggest claim to fame is being one of the only megas that has access to Fake Out, has a great ability that amplifies its damage output to respectable levels, and it's just like solid speed tier. It's like Mega Medicham is where I would draw the line between stuff that's like the bottom of the VR to like under the VR for megas.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
feel
is
like
where
y'all are being too generous to it, but I'm not gonna.
like it's
It's
kind
probably
of there.
one of the last megas I consider usable. And I don't even think it's, like, very good, but, like, I've used it a couple times and I haven't been, like, too disappointed. But, like, it's also, like, worse than some of the other options, I will admit. But it's not outclassed. It has its niche, and it does it pretty decently.
I'll say
And
this:
I think I've read over.
it's got upper hand, which
upper
I don't know
hand.
if you could use that, but
Oh my
that
god.
sounds hilarious.
Oh my god.
Raise your hand if you remember what this move does.
Well,
this
this could actually be
is
really
it
You
has
interesting.
a
found its niche. Oh,
I should try
this
this.
mod is a very insane move pool. I will say that like the number of utility moves and just unique things that you can be found in here. Like Feint is another thing that you mentioned. It has Axe Kick, which lol. It is Trick
Worst side
Room
jump
Fake
kick.
Out, which is just funny. And it just has like close combat and pure power, obviously. It's like there's ways to cook here. It's just, its main thing holding its back is the stat line.
Yeah, the stats are not great, but the ability is obviously, like, one of the best in the game. Um, okay, moving on. Similar, like, HO Pokemon that pairs with POW, fighting type. Lucario has
Jello's
adaptability,
built.
very strong. CC, Bullet Punch, kills Flutter, right? I think it kills Flutter. It better kill Flutter.
It definitely kills Flutter. It's got a higher attack set than Metagross. It's killing Flutter.
Okay, yeah, it kills Flutter. GG's. Um, not if they're max defense though, bro. Come on now. Okay, but yeah, this is very offensive HO Mon. It's fast. It outspeeds stuff like Corn, which is really funny. And then it pairs really well with POW. I think Jello had a good replay with it. Let's see.
That speed tier is really cool to look at because like 112 is like right over like the high, like the upper high mid tier speeds in the format. Like 111 is Torn, 110 is Ogerpon, and all that stuff that's right next to Ogerpon. So it is just barely faster than most of the stuff that's still around. Like Kartana's in this replay, it's faster than that. Faster than Megazard on the enemy team. It's faster than the Ogerpon.
Yeah, now this is like probably the best um, Lucario team I've seen. Jello worked on this for a while, but it's basically the Lucario plus POW synergy. He got a little bit lucky in this game, but it's a good team. I lost to it multiple times in tests.
Oh
Let's see
yeah,
if
extreme
Lucario
speed on
actually does
Lucario.
something. It also has extreme speed, yeah. Oh, okay, it didn't do anything. It died to Sacred Sword.
Well,
Okay, you know what?
yep, Lucario.
You know what? Ignore that.
I don't think it's very good, but
Me neither,
it's
but you could use it.
you can
It knows-
kind of use it. It exists.
It knows what it wants to do. It's like the Mega Medicham. Nice defense stats, bro. It does have a better defensive typing. I'll give it that. It is
Yeah,
a
Steel Fight
steel
is not
type.
bad.
It's just unfortunate that it wasted like 40 of its Megastone points on special attack.
Yeah.
It's just so frail, like for the damage. Like the item cost, like basically like you get adaptability, which is really good, but the item just kind of makes it a wash in my eyes.
It really wishes it had Sash.
It really does.
Okay.
And like Marsh exists, so
Yeah, I think Marsh is a better. I think this has more of a niche without Marsh in the tier, to be honest. Because then you can, like, do a few things. Okay, Blaziken. I haven't actually really seen this. So now we're starting to get into the level of, like, I have not used this, but here's how I would
Well,
if I did use it.
These two are ladder mons. This guy and Alakazam. They're all over ladder.
Okay, yeah. I think, does it learn Drain Punch? It doesn't learn Drain Punch. You're using Speed Boost with
nope,
this.
not yet. Yep. Speed Boost does funny things with this guy.
Wait, what if we used
It has
Sky Uppercut plus Sky Drop? Is it time?
It doesn't have Skydrop.
No, but like something else like clicks Sky Drop, and then you could use it with Sky Uppercut.
Let's show the world what this Skydrop distribution is. Just real quickly.
Sky Drop. Fully evolve. Oh. VST greater than 500.
We have Genies and Tapu Koko and Zapdos and Charizard, I guess. And then Mew.
Mew, lol.
That is... I guess there's... I have actually seen Skydrop, Aerodactyl, and Naganadel even, but... You see a lot of things when you play ladder.
Tough Claw Sky Drop is crazy. Okay. Okay.
There's a bunch of things in Blaziken's move pool that it has. It has a fantastic attack set, and honestly, the defensive typing isn't too terrible. It's a fighting type that's not weak to Fairy, which has some merit. Because fighting is honestly a pretty decent offensive type in this tier.
Honestly,
it sucks
here's
that it
what
doesn't
I
have
would
Drain
do.
Punch.
I wouldn't even run Swords Dance or any kind of boosting. I would just run 3 attack.
I wouldn't bother at all. I would just click buttons with this thing. It
Yeah.
has more than enough ridiculously high base power moves to click. It also has U-turn Will-O-Wisp as options.
It has U-turn?
I don't know
Okay,
if you would click U-turn.
Okay, this is cookable. This is cookable. It has an interesting move pool. Fast Wisp with like the
there's
boost.
some more. Yeah, there's some more stuff in the usually useless moves category, like coaching, which is banned. Lol. SMH.
Yeah, see,
But
back when
Feint, Helping Hand.
the first I ever heard of this mon was like, I don't know, like week 2, I think, of the format. And we were like, someone, I think it was Glimmer, was exploring like coaching on Blaziken, which was interesting, right? Because it had speed boost. It didn't really see much like tour play, but it could definitely use that when coaching was around. Let me just check the Flutter calc here. I think the spread I've seen a lot from you lately is this. But yeah, you're easily picking up the KO there. I don't even know why I bothered to calc that. But
Wisp is definitely an interesting option here for a fighting type. Like that is very unique for most Pokemon in general. To have this much speed and a Wisp access with this kind of breaking power.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's, after looking at it, this is what I would do. Because you can get the speed boost and then, like, go from there. and kind of try to be annoying. Okay. Alakazam. Now, this is pretty much worse Deoxys attack. I'm gonna like preface it with that. But it does have expanding force and has that dazzling gleam. And you could probably click like nasty plot with it, and then that's it. This was like on the first team I built in natex because I saw it had expanding force, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. But you're basically giving up a Megastone to have like Deoxys with like slightly more bulk, but it's not enough to really help you into anything. Um,
It's enough special bulk to live something for sure.
yeah,
On the physical side, you might get over some priority moves if you HP invest, because honestly, you really don't need to put that much into that special attack stat. Like, good lord, 175.
yeah. You can pair it with like Indeedee. You could click Focus Blast as well, but I think Gleam is probably like the better thing to run on it. Um,
There's definitely a couple of other interesting moves in here. It has Encore, which is a notable niche that Deoxys definitely does not have.
right.
Like, being able to Encore mons that would try to protect and then get terrain control back up is honestly kind of nice here for this guy.
Yeah, you know what? That's
I
probably
think
I'll
worth.
give
I'd
it
probably
that
run
point
that.
in his
honestly,
favor.
yeah.
Something like that.
There's a couple of
And
other things that might be funny, like foul play, but eh. It mostly just wants to click Expanding Force and Gleam, or maybe Shadow Ball and Signal Beam are options that are further down in the move pool.
yeah, you probably just creep it over Zero Aura, do something like that. You're doing enough damage anyway. It could be worse,
That
to be
speed
honest.
stat is a big point in its favor, because the only other Mom that's at that speed tier is another Psychic type that will definitely lose to this guy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Anything else is using Choice Scarf.
You actually do beat opposing DOA because DOA, you have actual SPDF, which DOA doesn't have. Um, okay, Obama
Just
Snow.
You can also I I do wonder if you can trace anything funny with Megazam.
Maybe.
Maybe you can catch and intimidate. You
You
can
know what?
trace and
That's true.
intimidate. That's probably pretty valuable.
Yeah.
that's probably it. I feel like Trace sometimes can actually do more harm though, like tracing grassy terrain, grassy surge.
Oh,
Lol.
that's hilarious. Yeah.
That would be that would be
Tragic.
disastrous. I will not lie.
All right. So here's the Blizzard Clicker. It has Earth Power. You could use it on Trick Room. It also has Veil. I've used this a couple times. It's very slow. I would definitely not do anything other than this, and I don't even think this is like good, but like you can do it. It
And room.
underspeeds basically everything.
Definitely a Pokemon that appreciates the snow buff in SV. It is
Yeah.
very, very hard to dispose of now if you don't have a fire move. On the flip side, your Blizzard Clicker can't Terra.
You know, you could also do something like this. Maybe. But I think this is bad. You probably just run Blizzard.
I can't in good faith look at this set without getting disgusted. Please get it off my screen.
Towards the Ice Shard,
If
not
you
good.
weren't,
The typing is very bad,
you would
but you probably click Veil with it in Blizzard, and that's it. And it does a fair amount of damage. You can't ignore this like you can ignore like Ninetales offensively. That's its niche, really. And it's slow.
one of the only other megas that's like not Camerupt that I would consider for like a full hard room team, because it is very capable of doing damage in that with this speed stat.
Yeah.
And just generally good coverage between like, well, Earth Power and Blizzard will hit basically everything for you, and then you have a couple of weird moves like Shadow Ball in this move pool, or
Lol.
Energy Balls to hit stuff.
Yeah. Alright. Lopunny. This Pokemon, surprisingly, could be worse. You have Scrappy Fake Out, which is pretty nice. You can like fake out stuff like Flutter. I think that's pretty huge. It's very fast. CC. on it, hits a lot of things. Return. I think does it learn Double Edge? Does not learn Double
It's
Edge. Return then, I guess.
I think
An Encore, fast Encore.
And also
a
like
couple of
U-turn.
a couple of other really good coverage moves. Like it has access to triple axle, which
That's
is just
triple
one of the
axle?
best coverage moves in the game.
That's kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember when it got that,
Probably Gen 8.
but
Um,
yeah, it had it in Gen 8.
There's a
So
couple
that's
nice
something
utility
that it
options.
has that it didn't it because triple axle didn't exist when this mon was legal in the game. So that's something new that it has a natex over other tiers. It's definitely nice to have.
Yeah.
Good
It's
button
fast, it's
clicker,
offensive. But
has
it's
some
kind of
interesting
another.
utility options.
It's kind of. I think it's really
Why
funny
did
now that we've like looked at all these megas in a row. I'm starting to see things I haven't before, and I'm starting to notice there's a lot of like really HO like oriented like fighting type megas. Lopunny, Blaziken, Medicham, Lucario. Um,
why
and
does
to be
Mega
honest,
Lopunny learn Cosmic Power?
bruh. See, this is like the high quality content you find on the channel. Awesome Power Mega Lopunny.
It,
Um,
it
to be honest,
there are some weird moves in this move pool. Why does it have Rototiller?
I think like of the fighting type megas, the one that's honestly the most interesting to me right now is probably Blaziken. Now they're seeing like the stats it actually has. Um,
The move pool.
I think Medicham's all right too because it does fake out, but I wouldn't really want to use Lucario or Lopunny. But I think you
I
could
will say
definitely
the
like do
one
it.
thing with Lopunny, I was considering running it until I realized that CC doesn't actually get the KO on Marshadow.
Oh, rip.
That's so sad. That is
That's a
so
Marsh
so
So,
moment.
sad.
because yeah,
It has Magic Coat. Why does it have that? Playrough could be a little interesting on Megalop. Like I'm looking at Megalop's move pool. It's the fastest of all the fighting type megas that obviously isn't using speed boost. And it has one of the better coverage move pool options in triple axle and play rough. And it still has scrappy fake out. Like
Yeah,
it is still doing useful things here.
that's true. Yeah,
It's its defensive stats are also a little bit higher if you manage to put a little bit of HP on it, because like the two defense values are in the 90s. 65 isn't great HP, but it gets a good bit of value if you put some invest on it. If you just do your calcs for what the attack stat needs to hit,
yeah.
it's like there. You can, if you believe in it, it might do stuff.
This is true.
As Faye has told me many a time, you just got to believe in your shitmons.
Real. That's so real. Okay, now here's the shitmon that inspired the video. There's a few things with this
We have
Pokemon.
no idea. We have no idea how we would build this.
Yeah, we really don't. We considered like Dragon Dance Return Roost with Pixelate, which is kind of fun. We also
But the
considered
problem
like
with this set is well, the problem with this set is that it's basically worse Zard X, which is a worse version of Mega Mence if it runs this kind of set.
yeah, uh,
It was just kind of disappointing when we ran this.
yeah. We tried this in several test games. It was not very excellent. We also thought about like the Wisp stuff, um, which gets kind of interesting with like Hyper Voice, right? It's very bulky. It has better Spadef than Zard, so you could definitely like probably do this. But you're not having like the damage output that it has, and the typing's not quite as great as like Fire Dragon. Um, and I think ultimately what we came up with was like the answer is probably like the Fire Stab, or like not Stab, but Fire move plus like Fairy Stab plus like either Tailwind or Roost. And then at least you're getting like some value out of this mon. Damaging the steel types, because not a lot of moves get like fire plus like not a lot of mons get fire plus fairy coverage.
One of the other things that look kind of interesting to me on this mon is the fact that this mon has some crazy utility compression. It is Tailwind, Will-O-Wisp, Haze, and it has a recovery move. Like, it has compression that I don't even think Mew has. I don't think Mew has Haze, right? Or maybe it does because of SV now.
I have no
But
idea. Let's see.
if you invest this Pokemon's bulk, it gets bulkier than that Zard X set we saw, which ended up being very effective in a game because it just clicked Wisp and a recovery move. I feel like you could probably make that work with this mon.
Yeah, I agree. And also with like a spread move, you're gonna do some damage over time with this. And like fairy is like pretty nice offensively. It might be bulky enough to drop protect for like another move that does something, but other things we noticed, it has Cotton Guard. Unfortunately, EQ is kind of bad because Rilla's everywhere, but if Rilla wasn't everywhere, then you might be able to run like the Fairy Ground with like Dragon Dance return. But I don't know.
The set
Interesting
that made
mon.
this mon pretty famous in singles for a couple gens.
Yeah. What is it running that? Just Dragon Dance, Roost, Return, Earthquake?
Yep. A big
Sometimes, like, it gets Steel Bell. Gen
yeah, it's an
7 UU, I think I was ran that, like, it just needs return, basically.
Yeah, sure.
there's just so many things in this mon's move pool with a decent typing and a like I would call it well-rounded stats. Like they're just kind of like fine. It's very malleable in something like, it's very malleable, and it just comes down to all the megas that were before this mon are like optimized in some specific way that makes them kind of broken at what they do. This guy is just very fair magic school bus toolbox kid or whatever.
It kind of sucks that Flutter, like, exists and is super good because every team is going to have, like, some way to hit Fairy.
Somebody
Like,
hit Dragon.
a lot of teams are just going to have, or they're going to be, like, a lot of resists to where Altaria can't do much.
It seems we have reached the end of box 1.
We have reached the end of box 1. It's crazy. Okay. So, we are now on to even worse Pokemon. Starting with Steelix. What are your thoughts on this guy?
This is where we start theory crafting because most of the megas in here will have been touched by absolutely nobody. Steelix has body press and 230 base defense.
Sand Force?
Yeah. It's funny because the non-mega Pokemon has a better move ability in sheer force. I think the moves that you run on this guy are just body press and gyro ball. I don't know if there's anything else you could do. Some crazy person might run Dragon Dance, but like this guy has Curse. It's really slow. It's a
Oh
Steel
wait, actually
type.
with Curse,
It
that could
has
be interesting.
yeah.
I think,
I don't even
you
know
can
if I
just
would
run
run
body press,
Protect
it's
on this.
defensive, so.
Probably not.
Like
Okay.
the thing that like it just doesn't have a recovery move aside from rest, which like ah does anybody want to click rest? I don't know. But in
Probably
a
not.
world where we have We have Life Dew Mons now, we have Cresselia, we have Heal Pulse, we have Pollen Puffers, and we have Rillaboom. You can probably find a way to keep this guy to keep him sticking around, especially if you just EV him properly, because that defense stat speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is tied with Shuckle for the highest defense stat in the game.
Yeah, it is.
It is wholly absurd.
You probably run rocks on it as well. But yeah, it kind of suffers from lack of recovery and not great defensive typing.
It sucks against a lot of like special offense.
Yeah. It's going to be useless a lot of the time. You just have to accept it. All right. Here we have Magic Bounce bot number 2.
The
This
Pokemon that makes
Pokemon.
me sad because look at the stats.
Oh
Man.
gosh.
Man. Like bro, you put in all the right ingredients and then forgot to turn on the stove.
Well, true.
Like,
For real.
why did you do its stat line like that?
CC knockoff
Why
player,
did
I
it
guess. Like,
why did it gain more special attack than attack? And no bulk. Literally 0 of the EVs went to bulk on this mon. Like, it's just so sad.
this might be one of the worst megas in the game. In a doubles format.
This one is definitely insulting. It does have knockoff nowadays, and it's another one of those megas that's like decently fast that does Wisp, which is again funny to think about. Like those 65, 60, 60 is irredeemable if you can't run a Focus Sash.
I think
It's just so sad.
I could just run like super offensive and hope you break stuff. You could probably. I don't think you're even bulky enough to run with, to be honest. All right, Aggron. Filter is funny. So this is probably better than Steelix, I'd say. You can run Iron Press on this guy with like super high defense.
Aggron has slightly worse special defense, is a little faster, but has more special attack and the same defense stat. Still has Cursed Body Press, though. Doesn't have a secondary stab, so it's probably just running a steel move. Does it even have Gyro Ball?
I think you just run Heavy Slam, right?
Yeah, Heavy Slam isn't as good as Gyro Ball, but it's still an absurd move, quite frankly. No drawback, 120 base power on most mons.
So, or in Hard Press.
Same story as Steelix, really.
Yeah. At least it can hit Flutter. And then Quick Body Press, I guess.
At least it's not weak to Finny.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have the water typing, and it can probably live fire hits a little bit better. I don't know if it's going to live at Chi-Yu, though. Like,
probably not.
Even with Filter putting in that work. Like, you can maybe calc it.
That's not a hit you really want your mecha to be taking, even if it lives, because you know it's not going to live.
We can put Steelix and Aggron basically in the same boat and say both of these mons wish they could set Trick Room for themselves, like Stack Attack again.
Yeah,
because if they could do that, if they could set Trick Room for themselves, they never will be able to, but if they could, they would be absolute powerhouses. As is, I think these two guys really appreciate the existence of Sinistcha. Being able to heal them and put up Trick Room. Because if you put that together, you solve a good bit of their problems. You still have to worry about fire, though. Like, Chi-Yu's existence will just make it bad.
That's true. That's definitely a good roadmap to, like, if you wanted to use this. Okay. Another shitty Trick Room Mega. I'm sorry, fan game.
Not that shitty. That is... Oh, Lord, that special attack.
It does have, like, large damage output, and it's, like, decently slow.
This mod has stats. This
Yeah,
mon actually has stats. Like, it has well-rounded bulk. It has a typing that isn't completely worthless. Like, being resistant to elemental moves and flying is pretty decent. Like, the flying resistance is actually pretty nice nowadays because of Torn. You get a lot of opportunities to come in now. Ugh. There is quite a move pool to work with here too. It unfortunately can't click Meteor Beam because it can't hold the power herb, but boy would that ever be funny.
that would be really funny. The thing is, Breaker is
Got
not really a great
Breaking
ability
Spot.
for it because there's not really like a Lightning Rod Mon in the format. Um,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that Moldbreaker is gonna offer for you here.
you could probably run Dragon Pulse just for the stat. To be honest, do you have enough like stat for like the to do decent damage? Maybe Decleam.
This, there's definitely enough dragons around that Dragon Pulse is a decent move to be able to click now.
The
And
thing is with this
honestly,
guy, it's like this is pretty much just worse Raging Bolt.
it's Raging Bolt that doesn't have access to Calm Mind.
Yeah,
Like, it
or
doesn't have a
AV.
if it had a boosting move, it would be right up there with Mega Gardevoir in terms of like threat level in Trick Room. As it is, it doesn't have as good of a spread move. Like, its stab spread move is either Discharge or Electroweb,
Yeah,
and Discharge has a very big problem.
I don't know.
But
It's kind of sad.
it's not it's not irredeemable.
I
It,
guess.
it it has the stats. This is a mon that you can believe in. You just gotta figure out how to like get it that Trick Room up. Or maybe even not. If you want to be an insane person, you could probably run Cotton Guard. I don't know if it's gonna like if you run Cotton Guard and manage to wall a bunch of things that because your opponent ran out of special attackers, good on you. That's a game plan, I guess.
It could be really funny. I don't know. Not great. Not terrible. Kind of in the middle. All right, here's the worst Trick Room
Actually, I
Pokemon.
know how you would use Ampharos. I just thought about it. Dragon Cheer it.
Oh, wait. Well, it doesn't learn Draco.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Now I'm sad.
The Megas that turn into a Dragon type don't actually learn Draco. Sceptile is basically bad solely for that reason.
We'll get to him. Well, we'll definitely get to him.
Okay. So now for like the most unoptimal Trick Room Pokemon ever. It's bulky.
Nice, nice ability, Bozo.
Yeah, Healer is very sad. Um,
I mean, it might be useful to be able to heal burn off of a stack.
yeah, it does pair nicely with
Uh,
Stack, kind of. It has like Wish Ally Switch, which was like something
it
you
is
messed around with.
it is Wish Ally Switch or just heal pulse. It has a bunch of like decent moves in its move pool. It's just very passive. Like, mm, like its best stab is probably Hyper Voice, which will do like a little bit of chip damage down, but it's coming off of a 80 special. But honestly, I would say Trick Room, Yawn, and a way to heal your allies. Yawn is like very disruptive for enemy teams to deal with if they're trying to stop you from getting Trick Room. Like being able to yawn into threatening Trick Room going down and back up is probably decent. I don't know if there's too many mons that can actually do that. Thing. It's also one of the funny mons that has like gravity. If ever there was a reason to use that move.
Yeah, yeah. free grab sleep.
It's really
TBH.
held back by. It's really held back by the fact that it kept the normal typing. Because like it doesn't really add much to the Pokemon.
It's not weak to
I mean,
Shadow, basically.
yeah,
That's
that's
all I
kind of like
got.
the big thing here. Being a Trick Room setter that Marshadow can't touch at all is kind of nice, although for a draft probably just does that better. The other move in this move pool that kind of sticks out to me, that's like a little bit less passive and probably fairly threatening in Trick Room with the Trick Room threats that exist in Natex, is Encore.
True.
Like, Audino's bulky enough and has a good enough defensive typing that you're probably always going to be able to get at least one Trick Room up if you don't get taunted, which is fairly reasonable to expect. So, like, if you get that up, you can probably toy with people between having healing for your allies, a little bit of chip damage maybe, but probably just clicking disruptive moves like Encore and Yawn.
Yeah.
Like, this
you can
looks
also
very
mess around with like
annoying to
not
deal with.
mega evolving a little bit, getting regenerator could be helpful, I guess. All right, Banette. This guy, it got Poltergeist, which is kind of nice. Poltergeist, Wisp, Prankster, Wisp, and then like I don't know, Gunk Shot maybe,
Destiny Bond, lol.
or Destiny
Destiny
Bond.
Bond.
Yeah,
Destiny Bond is a move that you should always consider on this Bond because it always it pretty much always makes it have a way to go even. Just having that go up first. It's very hard to like actually like this one kind of likes being slow or in a weird speed tier where it's never really going first, even in or out of Trick Room, because it clicks the Prankster Destiny Bond and then uses its attack stat to click Poltergeist. And either way, it's probably taking something down. Or just being annoying with the Will-O-Wisp. Like,
It's
it
like
doesn't
that it
have
kind of loses the
much of it.
priority, but
Thankfully, it's a ghost type, so it doesn't have to worry about fake out or E-speed.
that's
And
true.
because it's using prankster moves, it's not going to get sucker punched.
It's mainly like Rilla and Bolt, but probably not like.
I mean,
Bolt
not even
too
Bolt,
much.
because Bolt can't even thunderclap you.
yeah,
The real thing is, this guy, like, it can probably pretty consistently trade 1-for-1, but with your Megastone, that's probably not enough. As getting more than 1-for-1 with Bayonet is a little bit harder. But I will give him props. Prankster is a broken ability. Prankster Encore and Prankster Wisp on the same Pokemon with an attack stat? You can definitely do things with this guy. Prankster Encore Disable is like definitely a thing. It definitely takes a page out of Mega Sableye. I mean Sableye's book there.
yeah.
It
It's
also
it's
has
kind of
access to
similar to
Trick Room.
Sableye, but it's not quite as bad of a Pokemon, other than having Prankster. But it's not great either. You can definitely do stuff with it though. All right, Beedrill.
You can toy with the EVs. Oh my gosh.
U-turn,
I am
Tailwind,
very
This
disappointed.
stab move, protect. I don't know.
these stats.
Ringer Redirector. Try to get it in when your opponent doesn't have a spread option.
Does it not even get Gunk Shot?
Maybe
It doesn't learn
Profit?
Gunk Shot. If it learned Gunk Shot, it'd be kind of funny, but I don't know.
I mean that that U-turn hurts. It's just it's a nice bug type stab, buddy. I'm really sad that Nidoruus never ended up bringing this Mon into me, because he said he tried building it, but it was just so bad that he didn't have any faith in it. And bring it into me in Derby. Which honestly kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, you could probably run
This
2
Mon,
spikes. That's it. It's fast.
I mean, hey, that's a button it can click. This Mon is
It could be
definitely
worse.
made for singles way more than doubles. Because, like, in singles, it can just not take a hit if it's just faster. And oh boy, is it fast.
Right.
But
yeah.
It don't got boots though, so it's like wants to
if
be
you
able
could
to
give this
like pivot
mon
around.
if this mon wasn't a mega, it'd be perfectly fine. It's
Yeah,
just the opportunity cost of running a mega. Like I think one of the interesting things about natex is like there's enough high power win conditions that stand in the same power level as a mega stone that you could theoretically just say I don't care about the opportunity cost and run a shitmon like this and have it like trade as a mega 1-for-1 and maybe be fine. But at the end of the day, the reason that it's so low is because it's definitely not doing what Kang is doing.
Yeah. Glalie is like slightly better. It gains inner focus.
Blade is a lot better. This is the one Megamon on like this whole list that you can't intimidate, and that's exciting. I would consider bulk up on it because like it can fix its defense stat being kind of poor. It's this mon is held back by its HP being a little low,
Yeah.
but every
Could
other
probably do
stat
this.
it has good speed, it has great attack, it has a really good move pool, like really, really good move pool.
Triple Axle probably. Protect, I guess.
So yeah, for those that know SV, Galade's base form got sharpness, which is really funny because sharpness lets it do more damage than the mega sometimes with some of its moves, despite having 50 less base attack. That's just how crazy of an ability sharpness is. And in
Yeah.
SV, Galade is actually able to run wide guard trick room and do a little things there on some trick room teams. This guy probably does just click bulk up. I'm sure at some point I will be tempted to bring this Pokemon because like bulk punch is a fundamentally good strategy. It is very, very capable of snowballing and trading positively in doubles, and that's all I really need out of a mega slot at the end of the day if I make a good team around it.
Definitely
Like
triple
this is a
Axle
mon that
makes it
you can't
worthwhile. With like fast triple Axle.
fast triple axle is a fighting type, which is a fairly good stab to have in natex, and just like good recovery. Like its ability is really what sells it here. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
like the one mega that doesn't care about not having the item slot for something else because it's not missing out on anything that it needs. It's immune to intimidate. It's immune to fake out, and it just clicks the boosting move.
Yeah.
And it's got enough speed to be a problem. This is
All right.
definitely more usable than like the last three guys that we saw.
Garchomp. This guy is worse than regular Garchomp, usually. And that's worse than many other Pokemon. I don't know what I'd do with this. I think you probably run like mixed.
mixed lol. Yeah,
Because like I don't know, it's kinda nice. You have a lot of stats, but the thing is like you're slow. Um
Garchomp is probably the number one Pokemon that I'm like, why doesn't it have this move? This Pokemon needs high horsepower. This Pokemon needs Dragon Dance. If it had these two things, I would consider the Mega. But like as it is, we have Sand Force, but Mega Tyranitar is right there. If I want to make sand with my Mega Stone, I will
yeah.
say this though: did Mega Garchomp never really pulled up in past gens? But it does dig in a couple of things in SV. It has Scale Shot now. It also has Liquidation. Like it does actually have a way to boost its speed. It's still like kind of slow, but it's got enough base speed there that like you can get over most of the important stuff. Like you can get over Bask with just 1 speed boost. And obviously
Yeah.
the attack stat is absurd. Like you can run adamant on this thing. It does have the bulk and raw power to like actually do damage. So if I really look if I really look at this mon, I'll probably run Scale Shot. I don't know if I would run Earthquake.
I
Cause
think you
like there's
have
some
to,
other moves.
and you have to like try to like
Mm.
eliminate the opposing grassy terrain if they have it, and that's it.
I'm looking at this and I'm still wondering if just not like that set almost would rather just not mega. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah, because you would be able to run loaded dice.
exactly.
I don't know. I think if the actual answer is probably something like this. You have enough like stat to like forgo protect, and then like you hit a couple things. I don't know.
Fire Blast. I mean, it does have a decent number of attacks in its move pool. It gained Liquidation in SV, which honestly hits more mons than it should nowadays.
Yeah.
It does have double hazards. It does have Breaking Swipe.
Non-stab liquidation though, like I'm not sure. Like it may like what does it hit that you don't want to like just click stopping tantrum on?
They needed to give this
Yeah,
guy something else
I
than what
guess
they gave it,
Lando.
is all I'm saying.
it really deserves Dragon Dance. Like, give it that, and then we can like start talking about what this guy can do.
Alright, this guy is
Like
terrible.
that's the first step.
Glalie.
Why? Why did you do this?
This is the only Pokemon on this list that I'm tempted to skip, but to be honest, you could probably like Explosion Return. There you go, there's your set. I don't know. Like,
Aragon really hates this Pokemon for some reason, and I don't exactly know why, but I'm kind of scared to find out.
I mean, it's just mid as fuck. Like, what am I doing with this guy?
It's
Refrigerate
it's
could be
also
nice.
like it's funny to run. That's like all you basically you run it because it's funny.
You could probably run
I mean, I'll
Moody for a couple
definitely get.
turns. I don't know.
Fish for Moody to get some boost, maybe. This mod has a real move pool problem. On top of the stats being like why this is so pitifully unoptimized, there's no setup in this move pool at all.
There's like no reason to run it. That's the issue.
Like the most sauce here is
Steel
definitely
Roller.
Refrigerated Explosion, and Steel Roller is kind of funny. I did notice that. It is Steel Roller and Gyro Ball. It's not clicking Gyro
Spikes,
Ball.
maybe. I don't know. I feel like I've looked at this move pool, like I've thought about it more than I should have, and this is like nothing.
If you want to run Mono Ice, you still run Mega Abomasnow. That's crazy.
Yep. I don't know. Mid. Next. Okay. Gyarados. This Pokemon has a lot of stats and World Breaker. Also has Dragon Dance. I think a lot of people who have tried Dragon Dance with like Waterfall, Crunch, Protect. I think you could also take advantage of some of the move pool additions it got. It got Temper Flare. It has Power Whip. I don't know. But I think if you want to run this, what I'd do is I'd run like bulky T-Wave, because this is like a really bulky mod. And it can do like sizable damage, even like just like no investment, just adamant nature. And then you can just run like bulk everywhere. I don't know. That's kind of it. It's absurdly bulky. This is like obscene levels of bulk. Like,
Given
know.
a decent typing to play off the bulk with, yes. I'm inclined to agree. It kind of still does want to click Dragon Dance. The speed tier is really awkward for it though, because like you can't run Adamant unless you want to go for 2. You probably should go for 2 with help with like the decent stats that it has. Like it's bulky
My
enough to
issue
probably
with it
hit
as like
QD
a Dragon
dances.
Dance mon is like I try to run like if I'm running boosted mons, I want them to either have A, priority move, B, like a recovery move or like a draining move, or like 3, like a spread move. And it has none of these.
Not a stab spread move, anyways. This Pokemon is just like a case of you gave it the right stats. Why did you change its type? And why is the ability so much worse?
Yeah, if it had Intimidate still, it would be very fun. Oh well.
I will say, if Megas could like use abilities, it has Happy Hour, and that would just be hysterical.
Happy hour,
If
happy
Megas
hour,
could
let's
use
go.
items, that would be quite amazing. I'll say that.
Alright, Heracross, other bug type that punishes Rillaboom for like no reason. Rock Blast is probably why
This
you'd
was
use this. Um, Rock Blast,
look at that attack stat, bro. I think it's the
CC,
highest attack stat out of them all.
it is, yeah. And then you just run like, I don't know, Mega Horn.
Hey, Game Freak, can we make Arm Thrust 25 base power? Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, Arm Press is way worse than it needs to be. Um, I don't know. Not too much to say about this
This
guy.
isn't. This one really isn't untenable. It definitely has like the stats for it. It has the stats. It has a fairly unique defensive profile. A really, really tragic flying weakness in that deck is because of Torn. But it's one of the only like mons that's like an actual ground resist. Like just straight up resist and can probably eat hits.
That's
So
true.
it's got that going for it. And that having access to that rock blast is like kind of decent. Like between rock and fighting and bug, you can hit a fair amount of targets. I
Yeah,
won't call it a bad Pokemon. I won't
definitely could be
like.
worse.
I think the biggest question for Heracross is if I'm gonna use a bug mega, is this gonna be better for the team than Scizor? And if you can find a way to leverage the skill link on this guy, some of the other tools it has, like just like again that insane, absurdly stupid attack stat. Like there's probably some things that you can just outright kill with close combat, no boost or anything.
Yeah,
Then yeah, you can probably make a use out of this.
yeah. It's kind of a bulky physical attacker, but it is like missing a little bit. All right, Houndoom, funny, worst Chi-Yu Pokemon. Does a lot of damage on Sun. Probably this. Solar Power is kind of funny. It's very fast, does a lot of damage. Your issue is you're running Torkoal because you can't run Charizard with this because Charizard's got a Mega Evolve. You could probably run Ninetales plus this. It could be worse, but like you shouldn't really be using this, if that makes sense. Does have some funny options though. Solar Beam is kind of nice to
Faint,
distinguish it from Chi-Yu.
faint Will-O-Wisp, go.
Lol.
I will definitely do more damage to myself in those turns than any other way.
All right, Pidgeot. I was messing around
Eh,
with this. Hurricane, Tailwind. You're faster than Mega Mets, and then you run like HP Ice, and then if you switch in like Chi-Yu while you click HP Ice, you Oko Mega Mets, and it's kind of nice. You can either run Protect or like Heat Wave Last. Like an accurate Hurricane is like kind of nice because It does a lot of damage coming off of the special attack stat, but it's still not great. But it is fast, and it does a lot of damage with no Guard Hurricane.
Unfortunately, this Pokemon did win its game and got to set up Tailwind. Its bulk isn't fantastic, but it's just enough to live like normal levels of damage from stray hits.
Yeah,
And that's like all it really needs. It's another one of those megas that's like it's kind of there. You can definitely run it if you're just not expecting the mega to be like the win con on the team, like this team here. Like Aragon's team here has a Chiyu, it has a Calm Mind Finny, it has a Zygarde. Pidgeot is just here kind of clicking Hurricane for some splashable damage and then Tailwind.
yeah.
But you know, if I went and looked back at like Heracross, I could say the same thing if I ever put that on a team. It'll probably be able to just like do some blanket damage if I needed to, off of
Yeah,
its unique typing. Like that's all we really need to look for in these megas. Like we put down some of them. Like we didn't really talk too much about Houndoom or Gyarados here, but they could probably like if you really just didn't have anything else to do with the slot, probably take a KO. And
yeah.
that's kind of what we have here.
All right, Pinsir. This is like it has Aerial 8, which is kind of nice. Aerial 8, like Swords Dance with like Quick Attack or like Return, kind of nice. But overall, this is mostly like worse Mega Meds. In like a lower power level format, you could probably use it, but I think probably just Swords Dance and then like maybe CC. It has a pretty nice move pool, to be honest. Um,
I'll give this Mon bonus points for being the one of the only like viable flying types. Like I'm using the term viable loosely. It will resist 1,000 arrows after getting knocked down, which is kind of funny. Otherwise, that typing is kind of squandering itself.
yeah,
But
you probably run like Aerial 8 Quick Attack next to POW, and that's kind of funny, to be honest. But
that does sound very funny. I won't lie.
I wish it has Extreme Speed. Imagine how funny that would be in Broken,
No,
but like,
no,
okay,
no! You're making me play Mix and Mega.
Lol.
No.
That's what I was thinking. D Knight. Mix and Mega.
Oh my lord,
all
no.
right, Sableye, funny Magic Bounce Pokemon, Wisp, Recover, probably Snarl, CM. Probably just the stall set that SMB brought to XY. I mean,
The problem is it's actually like it works in XY because of the way like dynamic speed works.
right.
It
Because you
actually
get
like
to put
benefits
Prankster
from it.
Wisp while Mega Evolving at the same time.
I tried to get Sableye to like do something, and it just like doesn't work. Like
I'll say this. I'll say this for Sableye in the modern day. I think the way that you play around this specific Megastone is that Magic Bounce is really good into the mons like Jirachi and Gilmora that are like trying to set rocks on you. It'll completely deny them. And Prankster Wisp is just broken otherwise. This is one of those megas that you can probably just hold. If you find a team that really appreciates the ability to just burn things at will and play around with like Encore Disable with the Prankster mode, you can probably run this Mon and not care about whether or not you use the Mega or not.
You know,
You
you could
could
probably
like
run
in
this. I think what you do with this
with
guy,
another Mega.
yeah, with another Mega that also doesn't want to Mega Evolve every time, like one with Intimidate, like Gara, and then like you use it for support. To be honest, that could be kind of fire.
It's
There's
like
sometimes you want to Mega it, but you don't always want to. That could be interesting.
regardless
Well,
of whether Sableye is Mega or not, it's putting full EVs into its bulk. Like
yeah,
100% of the time, it's full bulking the EVs, and it's usually clicking the same moves either way.
Right.
So it really is just a situational of whether or not I actually do click the Mega.
For sure. Alright, the other dragon type that's not really a dragon type because it doesn't learn Draco Meteor. This thing is nice in some ways. Like, you pair it with, like, Feedy or something for Lightning Rod. You can do a fair amount of damage with, like, Leaf Storm or whatever, but the problem is, like, it wants to, like, outspeed an Oko like Mega Ments and stuff, but it can't do that because its strongest dragon move is Dragon Pulse. Um,
I have a crackhead take for this Pokemon.
Shed tail.
No.
well,
Shed-Tail is something very funny that it gained in Gen 9. I don't think you would run it unless you're doing YouTube content.
I mean, this is one of the like worst megas. It's like might be the it's like that
no,
in
I think like
Glalie.
Gengar is worse.
Like,
I don't think any or not Gengar. Gengar, Glalie.
yeah,
Here's my crackpot
It's
theory
fast.
with this mon. I think the speed is more exploitable than it might appear at first.
Wait, you know
Like
what? Look at this.
my crazy crackpot theory is run Grass Pledge
Yo.
with this mon.
oh, that's funny.
Because Grass Pledge will make a much slower starter be able to move at the speed that Mega Sceptile goes at, and then set whatever effect you want. You can either set Swamp, or you can set the burn effect if it's a fire type starter. That's basically G Max Firestorm.
That's to Mew could be really funny. Maybe. Or like Primarina. I could see it actually. But I just calced Dragon Pulse and it does a lot more damage than I actually thought it did. So it might be worth using. I don't know. You could probably get away with it, is all I'm saying.
Lightning Lightning Rod is definitely an ability that like depends on metagame circumstances. There's a couple of models that click electric moves in this format, but they don't have to click those moves.
Yeah, that's your
I
issue.
I think though I think this mon really needs to figure out how to abuse that speed stats though. Like it does do solid damage. Doesn't have a great way to set it up, but it could be very funny clicking a pledge move because those pledge moves they will hit. They will really hit together. And this is by far the fastest starter with those that would like be clicking the grassy pledge otherwise. I was like, that's just a good grass stab either way. It's 80 base power. It's only 10 less than energy ball.
Yeah. Alright, Sharpedo, this Pokemon's bad. What you probably do with this, protect for speed boost, turn 1, crunch, waterfall, and then I don't even know. Flip turn, but this Pokemon's bad. I
It
don't really have
has
too much to say.
Aragon's just not interested in this mon. It's just not aesthetic to him at all.
Well,
The
it's a water type,
speed boost,
but like,
yeah, it's a water type with the speed on the first turn, and then it can like do decent damage on the second with a good ability. Whatever team you put this thing on, it's probably going to be running PAL. Let's be real. Is like it's going to be inherently volatile. This is a guy that just wants to get one trade bare minimum and then pray it can do something else. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
yeah, I agree.
I think the funniest move in this Mon's move pool is Destiny Bond.
Lol.
Like that just seems hysterical to me that I'm on this offensive might be better off clicking that move anyways because it's gonna die no matter what.
Yeah. Bad Rilla matchup though. It's kind of dire. I wish it could click flip turn, but the thing is, you're giving up that speed boost that you're using it for. If you do that, could be nice for scouting, but like I don't know, not really a fan. And then Slowbro.
I love
This
this
is a
guy.
combined Pokemon.
I
Care to elaborate?
arguably one of the greatest Calm Mind Mons because the stats are just so well optimized for it. You can't get crit, so there's no risk of getting cheesed through it. And Your clicking Calm Mind is a water type. Your ability to like hit things is just not really questioned. You're gonna hit most mons with water moves, and Slowbro's move pool outside of its stab is absolutely phenomenal. It has some moves that I quite frankly don't understand why it has them, like Fire Blast. How? Like it has Fire Blast. It has Ice Beam, the classic. It has every psychic move you could ever want on this thing. It weird moves like Signal Beam if you wanted to hit Ogerpon for some reason, or Shadow Ball. And I think what sets this mod apart as a Calm Mind user is that, unlike Finny, this Pokemon has a recovery move, like a
Yeah.
reliable recovery move. I think if I were to give this Pokemon a niche, it's that you can't crit it, and it's going to heal up on you, and it has a reliable spread move in Muddy Water, and then
You can
you
definitely
have
deal with Flutter too because you
Pandora's
have Static
Box.
Shock. This honestly
Yeah.
could be good enough to be. This is probably the best of the ones in this like secondary list here. Only because, well, the other ones are like obviously like pretty bad overall. But I'd use this over something like Altaria or Alakazam or like Lucario. I think.
And that's not Calm Mind
It's
isn't even like the only thing it has going for it, because like this Pokemon can set Trick Room.
It also has Iron
This
Press.
Pokemon has this Pokemon has it does have Iron Breast. It's just hilarious to think about. You could just dump all of your EVs into your defenses and do that, and it still has Slack Off for the recovery, which is like this is one of those
What,
megas that
80
like
defense?
doesn't mind not having an item, because its ability allows it to do what it wants to do, and it has the move pool to like actually do it thanks to Slack Off. I could probably see this thing clicking Trick Room and doing damage just off of its special attack stat, because 130 is perfectly sufficient to just click moves anyways.
This thing, I want to see more of
you can
this.
click like
It could be funny.
you can like do even run body press. Like its defense is good enough. I feel like it's
We're definitely in agreement on that.
like you don't even really
Oh
need
my
like
god. It has Amnesia. You could run Iron Press, Amnesia, Slack Off.
stored
Oh,
power too.
Hello, Registeel? But can't get crit?
that's really
This guy
funny.
might be based.
It might
This
be.
guy might be based. You know what? I say we put this guy in the other box.
All right,
We're gonna
bet.
kill someone from the other box right now. Which of these ones is the worst?
Abomasnow or
It's Alakazam or
Mm,
Abomasnow, I think.
Alakazam.
Probably Abomasnow.
probably Abomasnow. I like
Like,
Alakazam more.
Alakazam can
Sorry,
compete with
Fangame.
DOA. Abomasnow is competing with Ninetales Alola.
Yeah, it really says it all. You've been demoted, Abomasnow.
My favorite thing about Slowbro Mega is that you can like Mega the Galarian form.
Oh, that too is really funny.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can
That
do it.
sounds hilarious.
It's just
Yeah.
like a weird.
Wait,
It also has Regenerator
if you
if you want to play around with Trick Room. This Pokemon is actually really
if
flexible.
you
Hold on.
wait a minute, wait a minute. If you can make it the Galarian form, do you have access to the Galarian move pool?
Yes.
Because that adds a lot of moves.
We can mess around with this later, but like Shell Shine Arm could be funny, I guess. No.
I don't know if Slowbro Mega is clicking that route. I'm gonna be honest. It could
Probably not.
definitely.
Probably not.
I
It
don't
could
think it
probably
adds
click
really
the
anything.
special poison moves. I mean, I don't know. There is some stuff in here. Did I see acid spray? Did I see acid spray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so taking this into consideration, you could actually turn it into a support mon with Trick Room and acid spray, which is definitely a unique thing.
Yeah.
Couple of other things down there. Belch wall,
Belch.
if only.
Alright. Aerodactyl. Thoughts?
Best
Fun?
Skydrop user in the format.
You know what? I think so, yeah. Fast Rock Slide, Tailwind, Stone Edge, I guess. Or Dual Wing Beat. Hits
It
pretty
kind of
hard.
it really sucks that the rock moves don't get Tough Claws boost because they aren't like contact moves.
Yeah. If it
Like
just got like a little bit more
that,
power on those rock moves, I think it would be honestly like a really respectable offensive option.
like all things considered, its bulk is way better than a lot of the other like purely offensive oriented megas that we've seen. Like 80, 85, 95 with this much offensive like rounding is honestly like it's respectable. Like these
You
are
know what?
about Ogerpon bulk
You could
stats.
probably creep it down, unless you're concerned about DOA. Creep it down to 0. Invest a little in attack and make it max HP with Roost and Skydrop. Honestly, this could be really funny with Skydrop.
There's other things in here too. Like I think this doesn't have breaking swipe.
But I think the most standard set would probably be like this next to POW with like max attack. And then you do a lot of damage,
This
but
the other thing this guy has is it's one of the fastest stealth rock mons. Like it's the only stealth rocker that's faster is obviously DOS, which is like very fringe, usable but fringe.
yeah, DOAce is not bad.
This
It's
isn't
more like a tier 4 mon.
this isn't completely unusable, and Skydrop is definitely something that you're probably not going to consider on literally any other mon except maybe like Tornadus.
Yeah. It is contact too.
Because
That's
we
kind of
like
funny.
it's contact and it can't be redirected.
Oh yeah,
Is
that's
a
true.
really big deal in that
I
deck.
forgot about that.
You can't redirect Skydrop, so it's one of the most consistent ways to just turn off somebody's bullshit, for lack of a better term.
That's kind of true, yeah. It could deal with like wait, doesn't it learn Wide Guard too?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
my gosh.
Actually,
There's potential for immense
so
tubing
if
with
you
this
look
Pokemon.
if you look at the showdown usage stat that actually comes up in the calculator, it's Wide Guard Skydrop.
Oh my god.
Like
That's really
there's
funny.
stuff to play with here. It's just like it's just under the power bar for like an offensive mon to like actually get kills. So it's in a weird offensive support category that's like harder to justify in a tier where things are just like clicking kill buttons.
Yeah.
Because like again, the tough claws interaction with rock moves is not great. But I can definitely respect this mon and maybe even consider running coverage moves on it just because Tough Claws is so good off of that respectable attack stat.
Yeah.
We've got options here to toy with, but definitely consider Skydrop first on this thing before anything else is how I would deal with it.
Yeah, Skydrop's actually really interesting. I didn't think of it on this one before. But the immunity to redirection could deal with like some of the stuff. The only issue is a lot of the Senate Monster might be too heavy to lift, is our issue.
Zygarde is definitely too heavy to lift, but he's probably going to get banned soon. Some of
That's
the other
true.
ones, like the special attackers, probably aren't like Gardevoir's definitely not too heavy. Chiyu won't be. Finny won't be. Bolt probably will be. Sakataka will be. So, like, you gotta have some specific targets in mind for this, I guess.
Yeah, Bull is like heavier than Zygarde. Bull.
I'll also give Mega Marrow points for this. Check what Dual Wing Beat does to Marsh.
Oh yeah, it's one of the few things that like actually kills Marsh with like dual wing beat.
Outspeeds and kills.
Yeah, that's actually might be the only thing that outspeeds and kills all Marsh variations.
Well, aside from the expanding force users that are turbo speed.
Yeah. But you get around Sash too, which to be fair is rare, but like it still is kind of there once in a while. I don't know, kind of funny
True.
on a few things. Okay. Mawile, just to put this last because he's a hater. I personally would run Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Play Rough on Trick Room. But it really is, in this metagame, worse Stack Attacka, and simultaneously Sucker Punch does not do as much damage as like Shed Pow Sucker Punch does, which is really funny. You could run it together, but like it's slow. The typing's good, but it's not the lack of HP stat kind of hurts you. I think it's usable. You probably have to use it next to Pow though. And then it's not that great on Trick Room because I think you have other better Trick Room options. I think it's just the synergy with Pow that you would use this for.
This Pokemon has some really disappointing stats that are fighting with some really, really great other things in its move pool. And its
Yeah.
typing specifically. Like the Intimidate base typing and Huge Power as the Mega typing. Unfortunately, I just don't think it has enough raw attack stat. And the fact that the Huge Power Mon has to click Swords Dance with the bulk that it has, given like the general power level of natex, is probably like the biggest detractor of this thing. I don't know if there's any other way to run this mon than the set
Yeah.
era suggested here,
I don't know. You
unless
probably
you
run free
do
attack.
something weird with like you could maybe be weird with like stealth rocks and like full bulk invest, but it's probably
Yeah.
just squandering the Pokemon.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you could maybe leverage Pain Split with the typing, which sounds hilarious, honestly.
Yeah.
That's kind of cursed. Ugh. It's not completely worthless. It's just like a lot of the things that it wants to do are done better by other Pokemon that exist in the format and are like actually good. On top of it, requiring a Mega Stone slot. But
Yeah.
all that said, we've propped up other Pokemon that are like in a similar level of weird and kind of janky shitty. I won't completely detract from it. It definitely like if you can get Trick Room up next to it and boost, it'll definitely kill something. And as I've said with so many of the other megas here, if it takes one kill, you're doing good enough.
Yeah. That's the thing though, like the mods that the Vegas that are like the best are taking like 1.5 or 2 kills, you know? And that's
On
what really
average.
is the deciding factor. Alright, we have Mega Neum. Lol. Pollen
The
Puff will
goat,
now. Oh wait.
the
Lol. What's this even
the
do?
absolute goat.
It gets the
Yeah,
best ability in the game, Leaf Guard.
Joe, true. Encore.
I
Huge.
swear, I swear that we found a niche for this at one point. I kept it in here because I thought maybe we'd remember it.
I don't
Curse
remember
Body
it.
Press.
I don't remember the niche. There's no niche.
I know there's something here. I gotta find it, bro. I gotta find it. I would have believed in this mod more than some of the biggest that we mentioned today. I need to be put down, honestly. I really do. It does have a support move in like clicking toxic and heal pulse and whatever the shit. But like, lol. I'm not gonna talk about Megadium. And delete this man.
Yeah,
Go on
GG's.
with his presence.
Yep. Yeah, GG's. Well, thank you for watching. That's an overview of how to use every single Mega and natex.
Except the ones that we didn't really care to talk about because they're depressing to look at. Glalie.
Clearly. And then the ones that are never legal, Mewtwo and Rayquaza. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hopefully it was helpful, at least if you're trying to mess around with some funny stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.